Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melissa Caprio.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you create. How are you guys doing today? It's Wednesday. It's my favorite day of the week. I love being here with you, and I have a really exciting show today. I love all the guests that I get to have on my show. Today I have psychic medium June Edward, and she's going to join me in just a few minutes. To my regulars who listen to me each week, thank you so much. It means the world to me. You have no idea. I get your emails and your messages on social media that you like my show. So I appreciate it, and tell your friends, and I hope you keep coming back. And if you're joining me for the first time, I want to say welcome. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you want to hear more shows, because we do record the show live. So if you're listening today on July 31st at 4 p.m. Eastern time, then you're listening to me live. If not, we always put the shows up in the Om Times archives. You can listen to any past shows, and there's always an information about which guest I have. Or you can go to my website, postcardstotheuniverse.com, and you can listen to any of my previous shows there. I put them up on the website. A little about me. Also, I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, and an author. I have a book. It's titled Postcards to the Universe. Harness the universe's power and manifest your dreams. And the book is all about manifesting. I took all the photos in the book. It's all about creating a manifesting postcard. And when your manifestation became your reality, I shared those contributors' stories. And it's been a very exciting road. I'm photographing people's manifesting postcards all the time. So if you're interested in creating one, you can find out more about how to do that on my website and the address to send it to me. And we talk all about, the law of attraction and manifestation and what is it that you want to bring into your life, right? That's where I put my energy, and I love making the postcards. So the book came out almost 5 years ago now already. I can't believe it. So I decided to do live readings of the book, which I post on social media. Everything's under postcards. You can find those readings there. And also, I've been re-photographing the original postcards, and that has been really exciting to see how my work has changed and how I've changed since I started photographing them. So like I said, you can find out anything about me on social media. If you go to my website, it takes you everywhere. So you can learn about the project, and if you want to contribute, I hope that you do. And if you have any questions on making a postcard, just reach out to me, and I will help you. Okay, so I want to get to my guest today, June Edward. We tried to do June's show in June, but for whatever reason, June's show in June, right, that's funny. For whatever reason, it didn't happen, and now we're back today. I'm so glad she said that she would come back. So she has been a psychic since she was a child. However, she didn't realize she was also a medium until later in life. Some of her gifts have been passed on since her mother was also a medium. She passed to the other side herself when she was 27 years old and came back to this side by choice. She can offer firsthand experience that life after life does exist. She has a 100% success rate in bringing through souls from the other side to give closure and help loved ones heal on both sides. Her sold-out group readings can help give insight as to what's going on in your life and help to see what the universe has in store. June's special gifts include working directly with the angels, guides, and departed souls. Combined, these tools have made her a very strong and accurate psychic and trance medium, able to bring through validating details to prove the connection and messages from the other side. June believes that her job as a psychic medium is not only to help those connect with their loved ones and heal both sides, but to help encourage others to embrace this life and be thankful for all the gifts they receive in their life every day. I love that. If you want to find out more about June, go to her website. It's June Edward, EDWARD.com. Welcome, June. Thanks for being here with me today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I loved your intro. I loved it. And it
Oh, thank you.
reminded me. So I have a sister that's passed, and she's on the other side. And one day, a couple of years ago, we were talking, and her, I was kind of a little down in the dumps and whatever was happening at that point. She said to me, "Stop looking for the magic." She goes, "You are the magic."
I love that. I love that.
It just brought that right back to me. I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. My sister passed 2 years ago. Also in June, it was 2 years, and it's been amazing. Like just opening myself up, trying to connect with her because since my grandmother, she was the closest person who's ever passed. Luckily, so far in my life. So, I've been trying to connect with her every morning, and I feel like I am, which is kind of incredible because that's new for me. I've never really
I'm sure you
put
are. Yeah.
yeah, I feel that I am. So, June,
Well,
tell me a little. Go ahead.
as soon as you ask for them or say their name, they show up. So I guarantee you, she's there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. So, when you were young, you always felt like you were like, when you say that you were always psychic, and your mom was like, did you always know things were going to happen before they did? And then how did your mediumship grow?
So my first experience that I remember was about the age of 3. I woke up in the morning hearing somebody call my name, get out of bed, go into my parents' room thinking it was them, and they were fast asleep. I went back into my room, went back into bed, and I noticed all these spaces around my room, and it scared the heck out of me. I pulled the covers up over me, and, as the sun started to come up, I could literally see the shadow of them, like putting the face almost against my face with a sheet in between us. Very frightening.
Very.
And I continued to see, souls from the other side. I thought they were solid people. I still see them 3D, and every now and then one will get me when I do a double take and don't realize they're not real. They're not 3D, But, as I got older and I went to school, I would know everything that was going to happen before it happened, and I would tell my friends in school, and I very quickly got labeled the freak, so I stopped doing that.
Of course.
And then when I was around, my dad had kidnapped the youngest 5 of us when I was young and just told us that my mom was crazy and threw us out, which was not the case. And my mom was a medium, but back in those days, she didn't work outside the home, and I had no idea. And I didn't see my mom for probably, about 11 years, I guess. I invited her to my wedding. But my job at 10 was to do the dishes after dinner every night. And there was a woman that would stand there and keep me company and talk to me, which I appreciated because I didn't have any friends. We moved far away. So one day I asked my brother who she was. I just assumed everybody knew her and saw her. And he started laughing and told me that it was the woman that used to live in the house. Her husband killed her by throwing her down the stairs in the basement. And made sense to me because I didn't like to go into the basement, but it scared me so much. She must have felt it because she never came back.
Oh, yeah.
And then I tried to block it as much as I could, which is what most people do. We block it out of fear. Okay?
Yeah, of course.
And, I died when I was 27. And you would think that would have been the time for it to really open up, but I wasn't ready. I still had fear. When I came back, I just started going on haunted vacations. I was really interested, but I still had that fear, and I started to see the energy again. I started to see orbs, and I started hearing them again and all that stuff, but I still had fear, but I was intrigued. And then about 10 years ago, I was going through a divorce and losing my businesses, and my mom was dying, and my life was a mess. And I went to have some Reiki work done. And she recommended that I meditate. And like everyone else, I'm like, I can't shut my brain down enough to meditate. This will never work. And the first time that I tried it, it was like they kicked the door into the other side. She's ready. And I just couldn't shut it off. And I started freaking out again because now I'm getting up in the morning and there's people in my house and around my bed. And I was working in my own business as a medical esthetician, and every person that came into my room, I knew everything there was to know about them. The first one that comes in, And I'm like, did your aunt just die? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know that? And I'm like, I have no idea how I know that. And she was looking at me. I'm like, did you just clean her house out? She's like, yeah, last weekend we cleaned the house out. I'm like, did you find one of those puppets, sock puppets that looks like a monkey from the 50s? She's like, yeah, we found one in the attic. And I'm like, oh my God. And it just kept getting worse and worse until the third person that came in, she walked through the door and there was a full man in military uniform behind her. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, are you a widow? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, was he in the military? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Now I got her husband in the room with me. And I knew enough, and I knew enough to at least ask her. I said, if he had any messages for you or anything, would you want to know? And she's like, absolutely not. So now I got to sit there for an hour and telling this guy she doesn't want to talk to you.
Oh my God. So it sounds like when you were ready, they just like freaking flew at you. Like you were like a beacon on the planet who could connect. Well, I want to go back to your near-death experience. So did you see something when you went on the other side? Like, were you told, did you want to come back? Or what did that look like for you?
So when I was 20, when I got married, when I was 22, I injured my back. And they wanted to do back surgery. And I just knew that if I went in for back surgery, I was going to die. And that was my soul giving me a heads up. And I put it off for 5 years because I knew I was going to die. And I got to the point that I had no choice. And I told my husband and my family before I went in, that, listen, I'm going to die. And they're like, oh, no, you're just afraid. You'll be fine. So sure enough, I went into the hospital, and the night before they did an MRI test with a contrast dye. And I told them that I'd had it once before. I think I'm allergic to it. I had a really bad reaction. I couldn't get off the table. And they're like, oh, that's normal. Everybody has that reaction. I'm like,
no, that's not normal.
Okay. What do I, what do I know? I'm not the doctor, right? So, yeah.
Oh my God.
So as soon as they administered the medication, I literally died. And I never considered it an NDE because it wasn't near death. I was dead.
Okay.
And I immediately was just, boom, gone and taken to what I now know was the lowest level of heaven, the fifth dimension.
Okay.
And although I could see everything that was happening below me, I could see the whole hospital, I could see the nurses talking about it on the outside, I could see what was going on with the doctor on the inside, I could hear the room in the back. As soon as I was taken, my focus was on a full life review. And it was like sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater, and playing out in front of me were all the important times in my life, all the people that had made a difference in my life, the people that I cared about, all the happy occasions. And what's interesting, though, is they weren't showing my children. And then all of a sudden behind me, I heard that it's not really my time. I can stay if I want to, or I could go back. It's my choice. And I used to say that the two things that we take with us are love and knowledge, because for me, it was an overwhelming sense of love.
That's what I've heard.
There's not even a word to describe. It was just so incredible, such a great feeling. And you don't have the body, so you don't have the weight, you don't have any, any of that. And it was just incredible. And I was really thinking about staying, and I'm like, oh, I'm not staying for my friends. I'm not staying for my husband. And all of a sudden I remembered I had 2 children here that were very young.
Okay.
And
I was going to ask you if you had already had children. Yeah. Okay.
They were the reason that I came here to begin with, and they brought me the biggest joy. And as soon as I made the decision to come back, I was back in my body instantly.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I've heard other people talk about their near-death experiences or their death experiences, and they're all, they all have a lot of similarities as far as the encompassing love, but there are some differences. So do you think, now that you said that you've learned that the fifth dimension is the lowest level of heaven, do you think that's where everybody goes who has these near-death experiences?
No, they don't. So when most near-death... So most near-death experiences don't get to heaven. Only 10% get to where I got to. Okay, most near-death experiences. No, most near-death experiences are literally your soul jumping out of your body. So it's saving your soul from all that trauma because you take with you all of your feelings, not just love. You take all your feelings with you.
Yeah.
And then less than that get a life review, and next to no one gets the opportunity to come back by choice. They're either told it's not their time and they're ripped back. Next to no one is that I've ever talked to or heard or statistically that I've read, gone through is have gotten a choice to come back. So I felt pretty special that I got the choice.
Yeah. Now, did your angels or your guides confirm that for you? Like, or do you is that just the knowing that you have about that? Not that only 10% make it to heaven and come back.
No, it's statistically. If you can look at all the statistics of thousands of people that have been interviewed from every country.
Oh, okay.
I was doing my research for a TED Talk. That's how I know all the statistics on it.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I had after my sister died. My sister was special needs. She's developmentally disabled, and she choked the year before, so she had a trach. And they said, another couple of psychics said the same thing, that when she died, so, and it was unexpected, she was looking at her body, and then they were trying to resuscitate her, and she didn't understand what was going on. Like, she was like, what, why, like, she couldn't figure it out. Like, it took her a little bit from, it was confirmed by 2 different psychics, until my grandmother came and helped her.
Brought her into the light. Yeah.
And she was like so confused. Like, she couldn't understand why is so-and-so on, like she didn't know what was happening. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. And they said that she didn't even know what happened to her. She jumped right out of her body, like before she hit the ground. Mm-hmm.
Right. And that happens to a lot of people. And a lot of the souls that are here are children. I move a lot of children into the light that don't really know that they're dead. They've died of typhoid fever or yellow fever 100 years ago, and they're still looking for their parents. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't go into the light, you're basically living the same earthly existence here without your body.
Right, and that leads me to, because I know that's one of, just so, sometimes some of my guests, I have some questions that you guys will send me too, and that brings me to, are ghosts real? That's one of the questions that I saw when I was reading about you. So so then that would be considered a ghost, like the woman who was murdered in your house, who you were doing dishes with, right? So she was stuck in that dimension.
So, in our bodies, when we're here on Earth, we resonate around the 500 range, 500 megahertz. Okay. And when you leave your body, if you don't go into the light, the ghost is at the same resonation. Okay.
Okay.
A demonic spirit is much lower than that. You'll feel it when you learn how to pick up on energy. You'll feel that pit in your stomach. That's demonic. But once you go into the light, if you think of quantum physics, the speed of light is somewhere around 160,000 miles per second. And once you've gone into that light, that's the speed that you're traveling. So energy, frequency, speed, they're all different vibration. They're all just all different terms for the same thing. So, and that's the speed that I came back into this body. So my vibration is automatically a lot higher than most people. So, and I attribute that to my ability to be able to go back and forth to the 5th dimension kind of at will and connect immediately to the other side. I connect very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And I'm sure channelers are the same, and other psychic mediums have are vibrating at a higher frequency, which I think is great, because I think collectively it's raising the vibration of the planet,
Oh, yeah.
The more that vibrate higher. So let me get to this demonic, because since you said those words to me, what is a demonic spirit? And is it a person that's just a bad person, and then they're a spirit and they continue with that low vibration? Will they eventually evolve into the light? I'm always so curious about that.
So everything that's happening in this world is a war of good and evil. Okay. And the prize is the same prize it's always been. It's your soul. God wants it. The devil wants it. Okay. So first of all, if you don't believe there's a God, if you're an atheist, you're more open to an attachment, to a demonic attachment. So they walk the earth and they don't have a body, and they want a body. So when someone has an attachment and I see them, it looks like they're giving a dark shadow a piggyback ride. And then they end up taking them home. And they'll work on you, and they'll talk to you and tell you how much, you're their friend and blah, blah, blah. And people just think they have a ghost in their house. They don't know what they're talking to. And they're actually talking to something that's evil that wants to get into their body, push their soul out and take it over. And when they've taken over their soul, so there's two ways to end up on the dark side. You either, you listen to it because God will give you everything that you want, right? And the devil sits on your other shoulder and says, I can give you everything that God can give you, but I can give it to you a lot faster.
Right.
And the people that fall for that and want that instant gratification, they end up basically going over to the dark side, and they've sold their soul to the devil. Can they get out of that? Yes, absolutely. If God's a forgiving God, they can choose God at any time. And I can tell you that there is only one God. There's 176,000 recognized religions just in the United States. And there is only one God. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. There's only one.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that, because if you don't, you have absolutely no power over evil. You don't, because it's a war of God and the devil. That's the bottom line. And I have people constantly contact me that are Wiccans or atheists, and they've got demonic activity in their house. And no matter what they do, they just piss it off more, and they can't get it out. It's because they have no power over it, because they don't believe in God. They know that.
Okay, so it sounds almost a little bit like I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore, but from what I remember from being in the Catholic is that there's God and then there's the devil. So it sounds sort of similar to those teachings from the Catholic Church. Am I right in assuming that? Or
I'm not Catholic either. I was exposed to many religions growing up. My sister was Hindu.
Yeah.
So they're all right, they're all wrong. But everything in the universe has to stay in balance. So if you believe in one, you have to believe in the other. They both exist. And it's playing out
definitely dark forces that are
absolutely.
Walking.
I chased a demon around a 3-family in Connecticut once because it was attacking the family. And I was able to,
for anybody listening who feels like that they have, like, let's say not a ghost, right? Because a ghost is a person who lived and who is stuck and but feels
and you don't want them anyway.
Demonic. How would somebody get rid of that if they feel like they are being attached or attacked by a demonic force?
They have to call in either a paranormal group that really knows what they're doing. A lot of times you have to get a priest in there to exorcise it to get it out. It really depends on the situation. They're all a little different. But they're dangerous, and you don't want them in your house, and you don't want ghosts in your house either, because they're still going to drain your energy.
Right. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this question. Well, if we're talking about like passing over, so what about reincarnation? So the ghosts that are still stuck, obviously, but then the people that go into the light, what does reincarnation look like?
Okay, so time is it's a concept that we've kind of created, because time is different everywhere. The faster you go, the slower time is. So if you think again about quantum physics at 160,000 miles a second, they're traveling very fast on the other side. Time is very slow on the other side. So I've figured that it's about 350 to 400 of our years before they come and reincarnate again. So it's about 3.5 to 4 years of our time to 1 year on the other side.
Okay.
So 350 to 400 years before they come back. They want to make sure that everybody that's here has and all their connections are here are gone. When they go to the other side, as much as they're enjoying life, doing whatever it was they wanted to do that they couldn't do when they were here, they're still living the same life that they were here. They're still connected to the same people that were in their life here, until all those people are gone. When all those people are gone and the grandkids are gone and everybody's kind of forgotten them, then they decide, let me go back again. We come back for a lot of reasons. We come back for a mini vacation, believe it or not. because when you don't have a body, you can only live vicariously through other people. You can't actually come down here and fish. You got to go stand next to somebody that's fishing and cheer them on, right? You can't taste, you can't smell, you can't have sex, you can't do any of those things. So it's a little bit of a mini vacation. We come back down here to help each other as well, to learn the 5 soul lessons that we have to learn to advance our soul. And the last book that I just wrote, All's Fair in Love and Karma, speaks to those 5 lessons that our soul has to learn. So karma is created in this lifetime. If we do something to someone else that we don't have remorse and we don't make amends, we owe someone something in another lifetime.
Right.
And karma is not a bad thing, because everything that happens is happening for you, not to you. So if you stole money from someone in a past lifetime, it doesn't mean they're going to come back in this lifetime and steal money from you. Maybe they're going to be your boss and teach you how money works, because money's energy. That's why it's called currency.
Right.
And we plan that life before we come back here. We plan what we're going to do, what we want to learn, who we're going to be, who we owe karma to, and who we're going to collect from. So there are no accidents in this life. Everything that's happening is happening for a reason. And, you know, the universe wants you to think you have free will, but the only free will that you really have is whether or not you're going to delay those lessons in this lifetime. You can delay them from lifetime to lifetime. The universe will offer you door 1, 2, and 3. You take door 1, you go through it, you get married, you have a couple kids, you get divorced, you're going to be in front of door 1, 2, and 3. Most people, creatures of habit, take door 1 again, go through it, get married, have a couple more kids, get divorced again. If you've learned the lesson, you're not taking door 1 anymore, you're going to take door 2 or door 3. And you may still have get married again and have kids, but you're not going to get divorced again for that reason, because you learned that lesson.
I understand. Yeah, I've heard that before, similar in a different way told, but basically that thought process. That's really interesting. Okay, before I ask you another question, I just looked at the clock. Let's take our break here, and then we'll come back in a couple minutes. All right, guys, stay tuned.
Okay.
We'll be back in just a couple. All right.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Everyone has a story. I have a story. You have a story. We all have a story. As I see it, you have 3 choices. Allow your story to define you, use it to excuse you, or utilize it as a method to empower you. It's your life. You have the power. You choose. Rewrite your story on finduniquelyyou.com.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free, ascendinghearts.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on Om Times Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, Creating the Life You Crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
Hi, and welcome back. If you're just joining me, I have psychic medium June Edward with me today, and we've been talking about all things the other side, I guess you could say. So, June, you do readings for people? Do you do one-on-one readings still, or are you just doing now group?
Oh yeah.
Group things?
Actually don't. I don't do the group anymore unless I'm hired from someone. I do have a retreat in March that I'll be doing some group readings on the cruise, but other than that, I mostly work one-on-one with people, and I run the Relationship Mastery Program online, which is a 7-week program.
I wanted to talk
records.
about that because you do talk a lot about relationships. And I'm sure a lot of people would come to a psychic. You always do, because I mean, me and my girlfriends have always done that since we were teenagers. Like, well, let's go to a psychic and see what she says about him. You know, like that kind of thing.
That's how it all started. That's how it all started. What I've learned.
Tell me a little about your relationship workshop that you're doing. What is that about?
So the relationship program is a 7-week program, and I basically geared it towards people that were having issues in their personal relationships, on the verge of a divorce or separation or whatever, because I felt that those people were more motivated to actually do the work, that it takes. And my results were absolutely incredible. And that's where I learned that everyone that was going through the program was working on the same 5 lessons for their soul, hence the book, All's Fair in Love and Karma. So the program teaches people how to get in touch with their soul, how energy works. I teach them how the universe really works. I unteach them what they think they know and teach them how everything really works. And it only takes one person. I don't work with couples. It only takes one person to make or break anything in life. So when you change, everything changes. And for everything you do, there's an equal or greater, when you do something, there's an equal or greater response to it. So
of course,
it also, it also teaches the law of attraction, because when you raise your vibration, the law of attraction kicks in. But I teach people how to balance their energy, and that's the key to the law of attraction. Because everything in the universe has to stay in balance. So when you've got that high, if you don't balance it, you crash.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's an amazing program. Everyone that's been through the program, the stories I could tell you are incredible. There's actual testimonials that have been filmed in videos that are on my website if people are interested in reading it. But everything is relationship. Business is relationship. You're in a relationship with your clients, your coworkers, your employees. You're in relationship with your friends, your family, your parents. You're in relationship with everyone in your life. So the people that have been taking the program, it ended up now I've got a lot of business people that are taking the program, because when you change as a business person, all your clients change, your employees change. Course. We're magnets. We're always attracting or repelling at any given time. And everyone that's in your life is on the same energetic frequency. It's just like this radio station. If you're not on the right frequency, you're not going to pick up this station. And everyone in your life is the same. So when you raise your vibration, either people are going to come up with you, and if it's a significant other that you're in that close of a relationship with, if you're meant to be with them, their vibration is going to rise to yours, or they're going to drop off, and new people are going to drop off. And new people come in, and it's absolutely incredible how it works.
Yeah, that is so true, because sometimes people don't realize they'll have a long relationship, and it could be even a friendship, and then all of a sudden something so small that you think is so small and trivial, and then the relationship is over, and you're like, what just happened? We were friends for 30 years.
Well,
it could be because somebody's vibration raised, and you guys you weren't on the same frequency anymore for whatever the reason was.
Or it could be a karmic relationship. A karmic relationship. You'll know it's a karmic relationship because it never quite feels right. There's always something. You're looking for that red flag or the other shoe to drop. And as soon as one or the other learns the lesson, that relationship ends immediately. It's like you wake up one morning and say, why do I have this person in my life? That's a karmic relationship. If you've both learned the lesson, it ends amicably. If only one or the other learns the lesson, it ends, but it's not amicable. And a soulmate relationship, you know it's a soulmate because right from the get-go, it just feels really comfortable. You're not looking for those red flags. And
so there's a difference between a karmic and a soulmate, because a lot of people confuse that. So tell me, because you talk about the 3 different types of relationships. So can you share? Is it karmic, soulmate, and one other?
Karmic, soulmate, and twin flame.
Okay.
So we have multiple karmic relationships. We have multiple soulmate relationships. Soulmate relationships don't have to end when the lesson is learned. It really depends what you wrote into your life plan. And twin flame relationships are extremely rare. There is too much misinformation out there on the internet. Everybody thinks they've got one. They don't. There's only a few 100,000 on the earth at any given time. They're here for a higher purpose. They have to, they will connect at some predetermined point in life. And when they meet, both people's lives are just blown up completely. They are very, very short. They only last from between a few days to a few months. That's it.
Oh, wow.
And why? And they're always very passionate, very sexual, very psychic, and very short. And only one of the 2 will recognize the relationship as a twin flame. The other one will be in mass confusion. And what happens is the energy repels. You're attracting, and then your magnets flip, your energy push away and you repel. And it's designed that way because they're here to help humanity. And if you each learn the 5 lessons that you're supposed to learn and get on your path to helping humanity, you'll have an opportunity in this lifetime to reconnect. If you don't, you won't. Because one person will ghost the other. It's like a runner-chaser situation. One person ghosts the other. And you have to literally move on as much as you can't move on. You have to settle in life something in order to have a life, because the odds are most will never reconnect in this lifetime. They have to wait till they go to the other side.
Oh, that's so interesting. And soulmates don't have to be romantic. I don't believe that a soulmate, because we have more than one. Because I believe my niece is a soulmate. I think my niece is one of my soulmates. We have a very strong connection.
Even a dog, we can reincarnate as animals as well. So
I love that. Oh, I love that. Your dog my first cat book. For all the animal lovers out there.
So my first book, everybody was asking me if we can reincarnate as animals, and I'm like, I don't know, let me ask. So I went to the other side and asked. I didn't get an answer. So I went back into my own Akashic records, because I had a dog at the time that I loved this dog. This dog and I were just so attached. And it was my son's dog. He had found it when he was in the service on the Mexican-Texas border. And he used to tell me all the time, Mom, if I was jealous, I swear to God, my dog loves you more than me. And it was just so true. And when he had to get rid of him at 4 years, and I wanted him, he was like the love of my life. And he only lived 4 years for me as well, because he had to be put down for cancer. So when I went back into my Akashic records, my son had been my father in a past life. And this dog had been a man, and we saved his life. And he came back in this lifetime to protect my son for 4 years, and then me for 4 years. And what I've learned is it's mostly souls that are not very advanced that choose to come back as animals, but not always. Sometimes it's a more advanced soul that wants to come back. But we can absolutely reincarnate. And he comes through to me all the time, sometimes as the dog, sometimes as the man, and I recognize them both ways.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that so much. So you talk about there's 2 questions I have, so maybe we'll do the sex one first. Okay. So you say sex is just another form of communication. What do you mean by that? Because so I go back and forth. Like sometimes I'm like, well, sex is just sex, and it's like you can have sex with whatever. And then sometimes I'm like, but sex is so personal, and you form some kind of energetic connection. It should be sacred. This is the Gemini in me who flips back and forth.
Yeah, well, I'm a Gemini as well. So it's an exchange of energy.
Yeah.
When you have when you're that intimate and you're having sex with someone, it's an exchange of energy. So be careful who you're exchanging your energy with.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you will take on that piece of energy that stays with you forever. That piece of energy.
Yeah.
Okay. It affects your soul. But trust and communication is one of the lessons, one of the 5 lessons your soul has to learn to advance. You have to trust, first of all, there is a higher power. You also have to trust that whatever's happening in your life, you planned it. If you don't like it, then you got no one to blame but yourself. Everything that's happening is happening for your highest and best. And you have to know that. And when something terrible happens in your life, it's usually the universe giving you a push because you're not on the path you're supposed to be on. And when you look back on the things that have happened in your life, even the things that were terrible, something good came out of it. I promise you, if you look, something good came out of it. Because it was meant to put you back on the path you're supposed to be on. And you have to learn how to communicate your wants and needs to the people in your life. We don't know by osmosis. You have to tell them. People's wants and needs are different, okay? And so why sex is just another form of communication is because if you can't trust and communicate outside the bedroom, you're not going to be able to trust and communicate inside the bedroom. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And the older I get, the more I understand that, you learn, like you said, you learn lessons, right? You look back on your life and you think of some terrible things that have happened to you and you're like, and you think like, oh my God, at that time I was like, it was awful. But now I look back and think, oh, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, the end of that relationship or whatever it is, right?
It's like being in the forest and you can't see the trees. And it literally happened today. I was looking for the sequoia trees when my sister had passed. She lived right near the forest. And I'm in the forest and cannot find these sequoia trees. And my brother's like, what are you talking about? They're all over the place. I'm like, I don't see them. Where are they? And he takes me a half mile down the street, and there they are. I couldn't see them because I was in the middle of the forest.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So what should we, for those who are struggling to have intimate relationships, intimacy in friendships, intimacy in sexual relationships, what should they be looking at? Because if everything is for our greater good and it's our soul's growth, then that means we have to be looking inside and not out there. It has nothing to do with the dating apps being this or...
You have to start with the very first lesson that you need to learn.
Which is?
And that is self-worth. Self-worth is not value.
I say the same thing. I say the same thing.
Self-worth is not value. Value is what other people place on you. Self-worth is understanding that you are so important, that you are the only one of you in this entire universe. Even if you're a twin, you're not the same. You want different wants, different needs, and different fingerprints. You're different people. You're different souls. Okay? So, and it's not narcissistic and it's not selfish as society would like you to believe, to put yourself first. It's where everything else comes from. If you can't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be here for anyone else. It's that simple.
Yeah. I say the same thing when it comes to manifesting, because I love to have people make the postcards and that's all fun and we get to create. But if you don't feel you have any worth, that you deserve what it is you want, it doesn't matter. It's not going to come to you because you're not on that frequency to receive it when you don't think you deserve it. So I think
that's right.
I think self-worth is, and no, it's not narcissism, because everybody probably who's listened to the show and you and I have met a narcissist. We know what narcissism looks like. You've also
that's an actual mental disorder. That's an actual mental disorder. Narcissism is a true mental and cannot be cured.
Right, and you know what somebody who isn't selfish but has a lot of self-worth, meaning they have strong boundaries. They take care of themselves.
So the other part of that self-worth is the other part of self-worth is understanding that no one is responsible for how you feel but you. No one has that power over you, and no one else can make you happy. I hear everybody, when I meet the right guy, I'll be happy. When I get the right job, I'll be happy.
I know.
No, you have to be happy where you are at every moment now, right now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, and in every minute of every day, because no one's promising you tomorrow. And you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. No one's promising you that. No one knows if you're going to wake up tomorrow. Maybe this is the day that you have, and that's it. So you have to be happy in it. And when you're happy, your vibration rises. And your happiness starts ping-ponging off of other happy people because that's what you attract. And that's how you attract what you want in your life.
Absolutely. I do. I talk about that in my book. Absolutely. That's what I say, because if you are constantly putting out like if you're saying, like you said, like if you think, oh, okay, when I get that job, I'll be happy, or I get that relationship, I'll be happy. You're taking yourself with you wherever you go, right? If it's a move, it doesn't matter. So you have to do the inside work, because what happens is you'll get the relationship, but if it won't last. Something will happen, because you're going to discover, I haven't done the work on myself. I haven't found my own worthiness. So
exactly, you'll attract one of your karmic relationships that's going to try and teach you something if you haven't learned it yourself. And once you've learned all these lessons, life is absolutely amazing. It's incredible. You know, I've had people that went through my program. Most people found me literally. I just popped up on their computer with an ad somewhere, and a lot of them were ready to take their own life. I had one guy just out of prison. He'd lost his entire family because, you know, it's a small town. He had a family business. He took in cattle, and he hit hard times, and he sold off the cattle that he took in. And of course, he got caught right away, and he ended up with 6 months in prison. But when he came out of prison, his wife had divorced him. His kids wouldn't talk to him. His entire town turned on him. He had nothing left. After he went through the program, he had such a wonderful outlook and understood everything and why everything happened, that his daughters came back first. He approached everyone that he had taken money from and explained to them what had happened. They had empathy for him, that it could have been their situation, and offered to pay every one of them back and told them that he would. He started a business for a food truck because it's something he always wanted to do, and was very successful. Within a year, he had a full restaurant on top of the food truck and wrote a autobiography about his time in prison and how all of this happened.
Wow.
And it's been about 4 years now. He's dating his wife again because she is the love of his life. And his life is absolutely incredible. And everyone that did my program can tell you a similar story. It's absolutely incredible how it changes your life when you learn why you're here.
When you learn why you're here. Because we wouldn't, like you said earlier at some point in the show, that when we're coming, we're choosing the lessons and the karmic things that we need to go. We're choosing the experiences we're going to have, so our soul will grow. So if you're here, you chose to be here to learn something and to grow. So if you can look at it like that, and you can look at that, this is just one blip in eternity of your soul's growth.
It goes by so fast when you think about how old your soul is and how long, you know, billions of years, and this is what, 100? If that. Yeah.
So I want to hear some of the interesting things that you've learned or seen from some of the readings that you've done with some of your clients, obviously without revealing anything that's private information.
You know, so it's interesting when I've been in business my whole life, and being told by my dad that my mom was crazy being a medium, and, you know, you get a bad rap from, you know, people that aren't honest and things like that. I started doing it, and, you know, everybody starts out doing card readings, right?
Right.
So I started out doing card readings at the Elks Club on New Year's Eve because no one wanted to do it. So I was doing it at a little festival they had. And the first year was amazing, and the paranormal group took me through the mansion, and I gave them all the information on the ghosts that were in there, which they looked up and verified and had tons of info. But I didn't have the knowledge to move them on at the time. I wish I had. There was an attic full of slaves. And it was on, the building was on the Underground Railroad. So, you know, I don't know how I drove home that night because I was basically in a trance, to be honest. But the second year that I did it, I did readings all day long. I was packing up, ready to go. There was an old woman in her 80s that had come in with her daughter about 2 hours before I finished, and it was a long line. I just had a long line of people because everybody had heard from the year before that I was very accurate.
Right.
And as I'm packing up, the daughter came over and said, are you leaving? I said, yeah, I'm done. I'm exhausted. She goes, well, can you do one more? My mom's been waiting for you. I said, yeah, sure, have her come on over. So she sat down and I asked her, did you want mediumship or a reading? She goes, I want to talk to my son. I said, okay. I said, do you want to talk to your dad first? I said, I'm pretty sure that's who's been standing behind you for the last couple of hours over there. She goes, yeah, sure. I said, so did he have some, I said, did he have some occasion that he would be wearing like a tuxedo with a top hat? I said, and this little cane, but it looks like a magician cane. She goes, oh yeah, that's my dad. I said, okay. I said, and I think your mom just came over. I said, she's wearing this full ball dress. She's shorter than your dad, and she has a crown on her head. She goes, oh yeah, that's my mom. She goes, I have that exact picture hanging over my fireplace. I'm like, okay. All I can give is what I get, right? So I said, well, your dad says that he's not happy that the name didn't get carried on, that I guess you had one son who didn't have children. I said, and you had a brother that, you know, he didn't have any children. She goes, yeah, I guess. And she goes, but I still want to talk to my son. Okay. Call her son again. I described the next guy. She goes, oh, no, that's my brother. I said, okay. I said, do you want to know who killed him? She goes, no, we think we got the right person. They went to prison. We think it's the right person. I said, okay. I said, well, your brother said he wants to thank you for raising him. He said, you raised him. Your parents didn't. She goes, yeah, that's true. She goes, my parents were socialites, so they were never around, and I raised them. I said, okay. So he also wants to let you know that he does have 2 children, and he did carry on the name. And she's like, what? And she goes, with who? And she goes, oh my God, I know one of them. That was his kid. And he's like, well, she goes, who's the other one? He's like, I'm not telling her because she'll just go run over there. So, okay. So it's call the son again. Still doesn't come up. So I asked the brother to go out into the crowd, because when I'm doing mediumship for people, there's like thousands of people gathered in a semicircle, everybody that you know, and everybody, all your friends' friends and everybody. So he literally went out to the crowd and grabbed this person by their arm and dragged him up. And he's standing in front of me and he's got his head down. And that's an indication to me that I have all this symbolism that he committed suicide. Or he's let them down. And those are the tough ones to bring through, the ones that either think they let you down or committed suicide. So I looked at her, I said, you think he committed suicide? She's like, absolutely. And all of a sudden he picked his head up and he said, I did not, it was an accident. I said, he's saying he didn't, it was an accident. All of a sudden the daughter comes running over because she wanted to give the mom some privacy. And she said, I knew he didn't commit suicide. She goes, he was doing really good. He had a girlfriend. He had the lights on in the apartment. He'd been cooking dinner. So I said to him, what happened? He goes, well, I was on medication and they changed my medication. Mom confirmed that. And then I said, so what happened? And so all of a sudden I start feeling my neck and I'm like, something happened to his head. I said, but he didn't hang himself. And his mom's like, yep. And I'm like, well, don't tell me. He's showing me. And he's showing me watching a television set where they're juggling chainsaws. And he went into the shed and juggled a chainsaw and it slipped and he literally beheaded himself.
Oh my God.
So, and talk about a freak accident. So his mother confirmed that this is what happened. And I was able to be the conduit between them. And she's like, I've asked for him to come to my dreams and forgive me. And she goes, I thought I caused him to kill himself all those years ago. And he's like, no, Mom, you didn't. It was an accident. It had nothing to do with you. It wasn't your fault. And of course, they're both crying. And I was able to like really clear the air between both sides. Wow. So I asked her after, I said, it's been like 35 years. Why didn't you go find somebody like me to try to bring him through for you? And that's when she told me that she's tried every medium she could find for the last 35 years and no one's been able to bring him through. And at that moment, I knew this was what I was supposed to be doing. I don't care what anybody says about me. If I could have helped this woman 35 years ago, imagine how different her life would have been.
Wow. Yeah. And that was very, very specific. So it's not like you could just pull that out of your, out of your
No,
house.
I mean, no, it's crazy, the stuff. And I was doing a huge show one day and the guy in the front row was a widow and wanted to talk to his wife. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not seeing anything. All I'm seeing is a pair of hands. I'm like, do I tell him I don't see her? Or I'm like, I've got to give what I get. I have to. So I'm like, all I see is a pair of hands, and she's holding out this beautiful dress, and I'm hearing it's a prom dress. He just starts bawling his eyes out. He's like, that's my wife. He goes, that was her favorite saying. Every time she left the house, I'm off like a prom dress.
Oh my God, June. Oh my God, we're like almost out of time. So tell people if they want to connect with you, how they can find you.
Everything is on my website, juneedward.com. You can find all my social media connections. There's videos. You can book appointments with me. There's retreats you can book. There's also a free webinar you can sign up for and learn a little bit more about how energy works. And if you want to know more about the Relationship Mastery Program, you can schedule a complimentary call with me as well to see if you're a good fit for the program.
Oh my God, perfect. Well, it was such a delight. I'm so glad we finally got to do the show together. Thank you so much for being here. I could talk to you for
it's my pleasure.
Everybody. Thanks for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave, and I'm wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, and love. Peace.